Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Beginning with issue number 1, Mike Baron wrote Marvel's The Punisher for over 5 years, approaching it as a straight crime comic, without any superheroes, aliens, or robots. Over the course of 60 issues, Baron elevated the gritty anti-hero into one of the most popular and enduring characters in the Marvel Comics universe. Now he brings that same ultra-realistic intensity to his latest graphic novel, Thin Blue Line. In the middle of a long, hot summer, a police shooting ignites a city. Activists, opportunists, and provocateurs descend to riot, loot, burn, and kill. Thin Blue Line follows Officer Valeria Baca and her partner as their detail guarding the mayor turns into a battle for survival. Ride along on this harrowing tale of two brave law enforcement officers fighting for their community and their own survival in a world gone mad. Eisner winner Mike Baron has created an alarming tale that unflinchingly examines human fallibility on every level. Along with penciler Joe Arnold, himself a full-time police officer, and talented inker Jeff Slemons, they've created a moving and entertaining story ripped straight from today's headlines. Thin Blue Line exposes the defund the police movement and its consequences for society, but several comic book companies have refused to publish it. Now we're asking you to join the effort to distribute it independently and help support the men and women of law enforcement. Get your copy of the only graphic novel to offer an unflinching and not always flattering look at the men and women of law enforcement during a time when we need them the most. Not all heroes wear capes. It's a thin blue line between the rule of law and a world of chaos. Which side are you on? Thin Blue Line by Mike Baron. Order now on Indiegogo.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, where pop culture gets blasted. And am I in a fog? I feel like I look at my screen and I'm in a fog. I don't know. I could be, boomering something here with the camera. It can't be that I'm old. That's impossible. But I'll tell you who never gets old, and that's good writers. And we have one of them on here tonight. Guarantee if you have been reading comics for more than a couple of years, you have read a Mike Baron comic, and you will remember it. So we would love to welcome Mike Baron to the show. Mike, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Good, thank you.
You've been very, very busy with this launch for the Thin Blue Line that just launched today.
I've been busy all day.
Going from show to show, but we appreciate you coming on. We do. We're very interested in this after watching that video because this is not something that you wrote specifically for crowdfunding. This has been shopped around to publishers, and they all said, "We're too scared. We don't want this one."
I always say I don't choose my stories choose me. Just like Florida Man. I wrote Florida Man because every time I looked at the news or went online, there was a new Florida Man story. Well, last summer, the news of our cities being burned down and looted was unavoidable. And then the cry came up to defund the police. And to somebody who studied history and has an appreciation of civilization and what it means, it seemed insane to me. And yet city after city lined up to do away with their police forces. And at that point, I said, well, let's take a look at this. And I decided to write a drama about it. And one of the reasons is I know a number of police officers, and they're good people who joined the police force to make a positive difference in people's lives. Yes, there are bad cops, but most cops just want to help their communities. And I wanted the story to reflect that, and also to reflect the craziness of what we've gone through in the past year.
Oh yeah, and more than just a year. I mean, I lived in St. Louis. I drove every day through Ferguson to get to work during the time of the riots going on there, and that was just a surreal period to be alive in that time in that place.
I'm sure if you went through in the morning, you would be relatively safe.
I did, and I did not. There's I was always getting calls during the day. Said, "Hey, don't take this road home. They're going to be blocking the interstate." And I always thought, that's the dumbest thing to do.
I know.
It's like, I live by the laws of physics that says gross tonnage equals right of way.
That's
Um,
right.
so,
So, I love those videos from Britain of fed up motorists just hauling the protesters out of the road by their hair.
yeah, you sometimes you got to protest right back.
Yeah.
So you're joined
Well, they
tonight
got
by
that,
your anchor,
there's-
Jeff Slemons. Jeff, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So Mike, Jeff, how did you two hook up on this particular project?
Mike and I have known each other for a few years through the place that we meet once a month, usually in Fort Collins with all the comic fans. So that's kind of how we traded business cards, if you will. Then when he came up with this, I couldn't resist. I thought it would be a good idea.
Well, judging from the output of the artwork that we've seen on the pages here, you were obviously the right pick for this.
Well, I hope so.
And we also
Jeff's
have
very modest.
we also have your publisher here with us. I believe that would be Chris's official role, Chris Brawley from Bleeding Fool. Chris, how you doing tonight?
Good. Official cat herder. I think that's really all I am. These guys just do their own thing and then say, okay, you straighten it out and make people buy it. That's all they do. These guys are all the talent, and Mike and I had a good time with Florida Man last year, which you helped us kick off, RJ, and that went really well. And, the people are jumping on this work that Jeff and Joe and Mike did. We're excited.
They are. Now, what time? How many hours has been up? It's not middays because it was just today. So
10 o'clock this morning Eastern, so that would have been 9 Central, 8 Mountain. 7
okay, so
Pacific.
not even 12 hours yet.
No.
And you're 31% of the way there. Just out of sheer optimism, I'm going to refresh the screen.
You're sweet.
We've been going at it for a hot minute here. Surely 30 more people have signed up.
Oh my goodness!
And I was right, actually.
Wow, nice. We're at nice 40 backers. That's a good solid first 6. How many hours would that be? About 10 hours.
I don't know, but
10 hours.
Chris, Mike, I'm going to tell you the rules. The rules of the show are: if your campaign goes up while we're live, we take the credit for it happening. This is what we call our shake and bake moment.
All other marketing efforts are currently on pause for the duration of this show. So it's all you, baby.
I'm so excited I'm wagging my tail.
Look at his tail wag. See how excited he is.
I love it. But yeah, this is what we call our shake and bake moment, and that's when we do
It's
this.
shake and bake, and I help.
Oh, you do help, baby. You
I
need to do a
love
video
everybody-
show full time. You need to get out of this bags and stuff and just do video editing full time. I know a guy.
Oh, I know a guy too, and when I sit down and I make a nice little video and I get ready to go to YouTube, I look at some of your stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna go put this one in the wastebasket and
Oh,
call it
please,
that.
come on. It's all relative.
Yeah. Well, you did the video for Florida Man, that comic, and that seriously came off like a Discovery Channel show promo.
Oh my gosh.
And now Thin Blue Line, you got a different voice talent doing the over top.
Yeah, that's Sam Elliott. Doesn't that dude sound like Sam Elliott? I mean, that was
Exactly.
that was what we were going for.
Hang on a second, guys.
Yeah, man.
Am I supposed to be on with somebody else at the same time?
No.
Nope.
Whoever's telling you that is wrong.
You tell them they can come over here and watch.
Now, our last voice talent was supposed to sound a little bit more like Waylon Jennings.
Yeah. I totally get that. It would not have been out of place if he'd have just said, meanwhile, Bo and Luke.
Am I supposed to be on with you now? I thought it was in an hour.
There you go.
I've muted it.
Producer RJ on the
Sometimes I got to look around for where these buttons are.
Situational awareness. It's very important.
Like I don't want him to possibly say something that he doesn't want to broadcast.
While we've got Jeff on, I don't see Jeff making a whole lot of appearances. He just kind of stays in his studio and paints and draws and inks and things like that. But Jeff Slemons, Slemons, like lemons with an S in front of it, jeffslemons.com. Check out his work. I mean, he did the finishing, he did the inks, he did all the backgrounds on top of Joe's pencils. He really pulled this thing together. I think combo-wise, their work reminds me of Ernie Chan. If it wasn't just sort of the standard procedure to color it, like if we were all super, super famous, like Mike Barron type famous,
yeah,
we would do this probably black and white. Yeah, probably black and white version.
Black and white version would have been nice.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm really proud of the work that these guys did. It's really nice.
Stretch goal.
There's some black and white pages on the campaign, but no, Ixan really brings some fire and magic to the panels and pages. He's loving it. He got to work with Sergio and got to work with Butch, and you ought to see his Instagram. I mean, he's going cuckoo just that he got to color these guys' work, and they're out there liking and retweeting his stuff. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun working with these guys.
But you know what? You can always hit a stretch goal and call it a noir edition and put out a black and white version.
There you go.
Yeah, second
drama
chance.
and noir, those words go together like, peanut butter and sardines. We do have people in the
start doing video and envelopes and do a comedy show, RJ.
I know it.
That's going to be a running gag through this, okay?
We have Nicholas Gear in the chat. He is backer number 6 on this project, and thank you so much, Nicholas. Hex Allen is also here, one of our chat regulars. Mike Walters popping in to make sure that I get out on time because I'm going to be co-hosting with him in 2 hours on his show. So
Mike Stand.
Be sure to pop over to the Mike Stand afterwards. We're going to be reading Golden Age comics.
Nice. That's a great name too, the Mike Stand. That's clever. I like that.
So let's go through the why we're here. This thing, this over here, and folks, by the way, the link to this Indiegogo is right below the video. It's also right at the top of the chat. You can't miss it. No excuses. Click it. Throw money at it. You won't even leave the video. You can listen to us jabber on while you're getting out your credit card. Okay, please do get that. So, how much of this is done? That's the biggest question with the crowdfunder.
It's all done.
All done. We're
waiting for colors and letters.
All but colors and letters. So we had a handful of pages lettered and colored in advance so that I could send it out to some indie publishers that Mike's worked with, publishers that he hasn't, just to see if we could get some interest in the book. And once we got flatly rejected, I just said, well, let's use those pages for the crowd fund. We picked up a couple more pages colored from Ixan, but it is 20% of it's colored, 10% of it's lettered, all of it's drawn, all of it's inked, all of it's written. The whole story's done. We don't have to do anything except for adding in some characters in some panels if anybody wants to back at that tier to be included in the book. And otherwise, man, this book's ready to go. So as soon as we shut down the campaign, we're ready to go. We're ready to hire Ixan to finish. He's lickety-split quick. So is Warren. I don't know if you ever saw that video of him lettering on Florida Man, but the man is a beast. So I think we'll actually, I hate to put this out here, but I think, honestly, we could, depending on supply chains and Joe Biden, we could potentially deliver this thing early. We'll see.
As long as there's paper.
Yeah.
That's apparently, and I don't know, the whole supply chain thing seems to truly impact the comic publishing industry because we can't get paper.
Yeah.
We can't get bags. We can't get backing boards. Thank God we can still get Gemini mailers.
We can't get manga. I mean, what are we going to do now that DC's killing themselves?
Oh, well, you know, DC's
Make our
still,
own
you know,
comics.
adjusting the necktie before they jump off the chair. But yeah, I don't know. I see the news says unprecedented demand. I'm like, you have no numbers. Since you switched to Lunar, they don't even get reported to Comic-Con. It's just whatever you tell us you sold, we have to say, okay, but that's a video for another day.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about these independent crowd funds is you're going directly to the consumer. The only advantage really that these bigger companies have is they can reach more, and they've already got a established credibility where, say, Dynamite or IDW or whatever, if they were coming out with it, obviously they'd get a ton of pre-orders, and obviously they could charge a lot less because of, you know, printing margins and how much they're going to print.
Oh, sure.
But, you know, we're going directly to the people here. And Mike's fans know about this, Jeff's fans, Joe's, and we're trying to reach law enforcement, you know, through Bleeding Fool and all of our different channels, like your channel and others. We're able to reach the independent crowdfunding comic audience. But I really want to this book has kind of got a level of importance that I think law enforcement people will like. Don't you agree, Mike?
Yes.
You're
They're showing
give us more than that, Mike.
Yeah, come on, Mike. He can talk.
Don't be so taciturn, man.
Well, as I said, I know a number of police, and I wrote the book for them as well, because I think we're all disgusted by the portrayal of the police in the legacy media, which I call the lick spittle. You know, a democracy, civilization cannot thrive without a free and independent press. And the founding fathers understood that. But we don't have a free and independent press now. We have the equivalent of the German Stasi. I mean, it's just a mouthpiece for the present regime. So we got to get our word out in other ways. We've got to be subversive about it. And one of the ways to do that is through popular culture, because they say that politics is downstream from culture. So you change the culture and you'll change politics and you'll change the society. And the left has understood this for years, which is why 50 years ago, they took over the media, education, politics, and entertainment. And we see the fruits of their labors today with the new Superman and other comics, which seem obsessed with trivia, with frivolous causes, really. And they forgot the number one rule, which is to entertain. That's the number one rule of the comic. That's why people buy comics, so they can read the comic and enjoy a good story and lose themselves in a drama or a comedy. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. And I guarantee you, you'll be entertained, because that's my number one rule. Whenever I set out to write anything, I understand that my first job is to entertain, and I know how to construct a story, and I know what constitutes story. And it seems to me that a lot of the mainstream comics have forgotten that, or they never learned it.
It seems like there's been an overnight sea change, 20 years or more in the making, and we're just it. I know that they've been working on it for years and undermining things, but it's like these last 6 months have just been a whirlwind of comics have done what, who's this, who's what, where's that. It makes you dizzy.
You guys all know who Gabe El Taib is?
Oh yeah.
We all know now.
He quit DC on Monday. Gabe's an old friend of mine, and he used to come over here along with Joe Arnold when we had our monthly comic get-togethers. And I'll be interviewing Gabe Sunday morning, and we'll broadcast it later again on the Baron Earls show. But Gabe and I are talking about working together. We worked in the past, and we're going to work together again in the future. But back to Thin Blue Line. Thin Blue Line is, I have always ripped my stories out of the headlines, and anybody who's read Punisher or Nexus knows that, so it's no surprise. But I don't have an axe to grind. I have a particular point of view, which just comes from my life experience and what I know, and that informs the story, of course. But I never forget that it's my job to entertain, and people are going to love the book.
Is this a self-contained book, Mike, or is this?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Great.
is. And people have been asking me all day, well, are you planning a sequel? No, no, I have not been planning a sequel, but if the reaction is overwhelming, I would be forced to think about it
Yeah.
because,
Well,
Valeria survives. She
Spoiler
changes.
alert. Yep. Spoiler alert. She lives. Yeah.
Well,
the
I
hero
don't
makes
think,
it to the end.
not everybody survives
No, that's
this
true.
story.
There are some shocking twists and turns in this. I think people are, first and foremost, like Mike says, they're going to be entertained. Then you're going to want to go back through it and appreciate the art and the nuance and all, the level of detail. And then you're going to want somebody else to go, you need to effing read this, man. This is great. It's unexpected, you know. There's our spiritual origins right there with Lady Cop.
I
Which
actually
Jeff
have that
just
issue.
do you? So do I. It's right over here, actually, in the corner. Jeff just told me that he's got a friend that has dozens or 20 or so pages of original art from that comic.
Yeah,
That's almost the whole book.
Just about the whole book, 22-page book, I think. Yeah, he's almost got it all.
That's amazing. Along the same lines, Alterna publishes Tinseltown, which is also
Yep.
a Lady Cop story.
It's a great comic too. I like what Alterna's doing. Peter Samedi, real stand-up guy.
So Mike, you do introduce the book by saying that there's a shooting overnight. The country's up in an uproar. Can you tell us a little bit about the snowball that gets rolling down the hill here? Which headlines you borrowed from, which ones you mashed together?
I didn't borrow from any one particular thing, and we never learn the details of this shooting. The word just gets out that a cop shot somebody. Nobody knows the circumstances. Nobody knows why or who was at fault or anything. But immediately, these crowds, these mobs, descend on the city and start rioting with signs. And the signs say defund the police, and there are less polite signs that say fuck the police and so forth. And that, I took that. I mean, that's no exaggeration. We all saw it on our televisions last summer. And it goes from there. And our protagonists, Valeria and her partner, Bob Mack, are assigned to guard the mayor. And I had a lot of fun with the mayor, and you'll have a lot of fun with the mayor too, because he's a political creature. And as I never tire of pointing out, normal people have their hands full doing their job, taking care of their families, and maybe kicking back on the weekends and watching their favorite football team. But there is a certain class of person who spends every waking minute scheming how to get power over others. And these are the people that go into politics. And they do it to enrich themselves at the public expense, to enjoy special perks that the public doesn't enjoy. They don't have to wait in line. They have their own airplanes. And to punish their enemies. And these are the people who have taken over the country. And these are the people who are screaming for defund the police.
Yep.
And the same people that cry to defund the police have their own private security details. And they're often police officers that are assigned to them. And we've seen it time and again with the mayor of Chicago, for example. Not to mention mayors of many other major
New
cities
York,
throughout the land.
California's governor, and so
Yep.
on. It's
Yep.
a whole let them eat cake type thing. They don't care about the plebes. They've got their own security, like Mike
That's
says.
right.
But what's beautiful about this story, RJ, I'm so glad you asked that, is it doesn't get into the nuance because that doesn't matter to the police officers who have to work through it, no matter what the circumstances are of this case, right? These law enforcement officers still have to serve the community, whether the community's pissed off about something rightfully or wrongfully so or not. And so we start out, you're looking at the very first page of the book, and that is our protagonist. She's a Hispanic single mother.
That's it.
And she's training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which what makes the art team so unique here. Jeff is this well-established illustrator. Again, you can check out his website and just see how rich his sort of the swath of type of work that he does. But what Joseph brought to it, or Joe Arnold, is he's a full-time cop. So even this stuff, there's a couple of pages that are not on the campaign, obviously, that you see these moves, this sort of choreographed fighting. And Mike too. Mike is a martial artist. Mike, what belt level are you at? I know you never talk about it.
Oh, fourth degree black belt.
4th degree black belt. So, I mean, this is all authentic, genuine, bona fide stuff. And this is a single mom, and she's just working so that she can protect the community. And she's got other friends who are cops that she works with. Some of them are great cops. There's one or two that might have some ethics issues. Not all heroes wear capes, but all heroes can be flawed. And it gets into that. There is a lot of action, don't get me wrong, and it is ripped from the headlines, and it's sort of what would it be like if you were a cop in the middle of this riot. But there's this drama too, personal dramas, smaller dramas, and some back and forths, almost not necessarily soap opera, but really it's a human drama at the end of the day.
I had a writing teacher in college named Jerry McNeely who wrote Marcus Welby, MD. And he said, you make them laugh a little bit, you make them cry a little bit, you scare the hell out of them, and that's entertainment.
Mm-hmm. That's what this book does. It does that. I mean, I didn't cry. That wasn't crying. That was a dusty room. But this is a good book, man. It's the whole package, though. It's not going to leave you hanging on a cliffhanger. But it is the kind of protagonist you could revisit it. Just like they were able to revisit the movie Alien, right? With an even better sequel. If Mike can come up with a good idea for a story, he can crank it out.
Now, one of the things that about the riots that we saw the past several years, they didn't even have to be in the town where whatever the spark happened was. It was nationwide.
Yeah.
Is your character in the town where this event happened?
Yes, they are. But you're right in the sense that whenever an incident like this happens, it's merely an excuse to pillage. We've all seen videos of people breaking the windows of the Nike store and running in and running out with their arms full of shoes or whatever. And of course, in San Francisco, where they've legalized shoplifting,
Yes.
Walgreens is closing every store because they passed a law that says if you steal up to $900, you won't be charged. And it's just, what the hell?
Well, that's why you have to charge $900 for everything and then give them a discount at the register. I mean, think of how insane you have to be at San Francisco. I didn't make that up. That's not a joke. That's really what some stores are being forced to do. And that's right, fan thing. It's commies on the street because communists. I truly believe some of the insanity, like what Mike just mentioned about San Francisco, and these provocateurs that sort of take advantage of these riots. And there's some of this in the book. You have some people that are just trying to take advantage and do some looting, but you have other provocateurs that are really trying to undermine the entire society for their own gains. And
we get into that too, and
yes.
where they come from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they move quickly. We talked about, what business I should be in a couple of times here because I'm doing shipping, I'm doing interviews. What I really think I should have been in is sign printing, because when these things happen, it's like within hours you see hundreds of professionally printed signs.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Brandon. Making that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some "Let's Go Brandon" signs that we're printing off right now.
Oh, yes. I need a T-shirt that says that.
Yes, you do.
They're available.
There's one that looks a lot like your fraud logo too. I saw. Let's go, Brandon.
Oh yeah, I've got that T-shirt. I should get that out again here.
But it gets into all that. I mean, there's nuance, but it's a thriller and sort of a roller coaster ride at heart, and you really care for Valeria and her family and her friends that she does make, and it's interesting. It's a good read.
I like that name too, Valeria. I've only ever heard it once before, and it was, by the way, in the comic books.
Really? Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, her
Reed
last name
Richards,
is Baca.
Reed and Sue's daughter.
And one of the reasons she went into law enforcement was because her great-great-grandfather was Elfego Baca, a famous lawman in the Southwest in the 19th century. In fact, Disney did a series about him. They called him the Cat, Elfego the Cat Baca.
Did you know that, RJ? Oh my gosh!
I did not know that. Was it Chicago AG is stating they will not prosecute for less than $1,000. So, Chicago is going to become the next San Francisco.
Let every productive citizen leave the state.
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah. It's
That's
been
what I hope
Venezuela,
for
Illinois
all
for
these
years now.
cities.
And vote red wherever you go, wherever you move to.
Let every productive citizen leave the state.
Well, the ones all south of Cook County want to just make their own state, Mike.
I wish they would.
Secession. I'll tell you what, if Texas ever pulls the plug and secedes, land in Texas is going to go through the roof. I promise you.
Everybody will move there.
Invest now. Get yourself a half an acre if you can.
Well, I know people who have moved there already. They were fed up. I know people who moved there from Portland.
Oh, they're moving there from California.
Yeah, because they're just fed up. That's where they're headed.
So the problem
Or
is
Florida.
they're all going to Austin, and it's turning into a big blue cancer over there.
Austin has always been that way.
Well, you do have a point.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the tiers here. You got your featured tier, which is Officer Assist. I've got an idea that this is going to go to help our men in blue. I'm not sure if that's what the title means or not. So set me straight on this one.
Okay, well, Officer Assist, I'll kind of get into this because the guys just do the creative end, and I'm sort of the guy that does the fulfillment and the marketing. And Officer Assist is our featured one, and you get, the whole shebang. You get the book, you get it digitally, you get it physical, you get a second copy so you can share it or assist somebody with it. You get a part of your, actually part of everyone's backing, if we hit certain tiers, are going to go to police-related organizations. You'll also get a ride-along coin that people get when they ride with cops. You'll get a certificate suitable for framing that shows that you donated, and you'll get the autograph of the creative team. So that is our Officer Assist package, and we're featuring it. To me, that's really the best one. The next best is probably just the autographed bundle, which gets you a physical copy, an autograph card, and a PDF. But
Cool.
we've got a few tiers, so or a few stretch goals, and if we hit those, everybody's going to get some nice little delightful baubles in their package.
Can I show my donation certificate to my CPA next April?
Oh, you know what? We should put in the fine print that it authorizes the bearer to get out of jail free. I think that would be real helpful.
That will
Maybe
work.
we should include get out of jail free cards. That might be.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I always love having great, funny ideas after we've already launched the campaign. We can change it.
Timing's everything.
On the show all the time. You do have the digital option, and we have so many viewers in our chat who have to have digital. So I always point it out. George, Robert, digital option, get it.
Digital smigital.
I tell you, we were advised on Florida Man not to offer a digital tier just because Mike and I both believe, and I don't want to speak for Jeff, he may agree, but for us, comics is the physical book. We like the tangible, having the book, turning the page, but digital has become so accepted widely, particularly for people that don't want to have to pay for shipping. I get it. So we've put it on the front page, and as an add-on, there are a couple of add-ons. You can donate to one of the police organizations as an add-on, like after you buy your book and you start to check out, you can add that on. You can also add on the digital version for a discount. You don't have to pay the full rate for that. We did decide to do that this time.
Yeah. In the shipping world, we call digital the Australia variant.
Ooh, that's funny. Yes. The most expensive place to ship to.
Oh my
We're
God.
losing money on Australia shipping. I didn't want to go through every single country and break it down, but I broke it down like U.S. for one, Canada for another, and then the rest of the world. And some places are going to overpay, and some places are going to underpay.
I have a fan in Tasmania,
Yes, you do.
and getting the books to him is always an adventure.
I
Fortunately,
have
I have a friend in Australia who's a police officer, and I send him the book, and he forwards it to the guy in Tasmania, and he
Okay.
gets the books that way.
I'm not a big fan right now of what I've seen of some of the videos coming out of Australia, particularly.
It's nightmarish.
Yeah, it doesn't even paint the cops in a good light. I hate that they're having to do it.
I've got a client in Australia who's going to ship through us. And I'm like, am I going to have to get a boat and pull up to the shore and you throw it over the wall so I can bring it back? Because I don't know how you're going to get it to me.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
Pray
is
for
crazy
Australia.
over there.
Yeah.
Fan Thing says, give me a physical book. Well, Fan Thing, you're in luck. This is the tier you want right here.
Got him.
get this perk, or at least start with looking at that perk, and then we'll move
and
down
go from there. Yeah. Now go on down and look at this TBL original art page. We've already sold one today, so there's only a handful left.
Look at that.
Now there's a tube in the little mock-up there, but Jeff assures me these will be mailed flat. They won't
Yes,
even
sir.
be curled up. So you get a nice little bonus there. Plus, in addition to an original art page, and this art page is drawn. It's penciled by Joe. It's inked by Jeff. It's finished. No coloring, no lettering. You also get a digital copy. You get a physical copy. You get the art page. You get the certificate, and you get the autograph of the team. So it's a one-of-a-kind piece. This is all hand-drawn. It's not digital, which is really, it's the genuine artifact, my friend.
Now, how did you go about connecting with who the donations are going to go to? Because there's a couple of different services, and I'm always kind of leery when it's like I get the phone call says I'm with the Sheriff's Association and we're collecting donations. Like, really?
We asked Joe.
Cops are having a yard sale now.
Yeah, that's the great thing about having a cop as the artist on the art team is he basically asked around, talked to the guys that he works with, checked out a lot of the resources that he has, and we came up with these three. If you scroll down to where the big text in the middle says the impact, that shows you the three different programs. Keep going. That shows you the three different programs that we're donating to. Keep going.
I'm scrolling. There's a lot here.
You're looking at that beautiful art. There it was. Keep a little. There you go. So you've got Adopt a Cop, which is BJJ stands for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I always want to quickly say what BJJ stands for before anybody chimes in with their own ideas. But that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Joe is a practitioner. This program trains law enforcement officers in how to not only defend themselves, but also protect the perps, the suspects that they're having to arrest. It helps in de-escalation. It just keeps people safe. And each of those are clickable. So anybody that's sort of wondering what we're doing, you can click on those. The second one is the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund, which not only has programs to improve officer safety, but it does a memorial for slain officers. And then the National Fallen Officer Foundation assists the families of slain officers. And all of these, the other reason, not only since these were legit outfits, but they all complement what's found in the story. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost sort of that, the more you know, after school special. It's Thin Blue Line. What do you not know about cops?
Yeah, and Ulysses in the chat says, hello, who's there? Mike Barron is here, and Jeff Slemons is here, and they are the creative force behind Thin Blue Line. Of course, Mike Barron, writer for, Marvel's Punisher, among, have you kept count, Mike, of how many titles you've actually written?
No, but they pale in comparison to Chuck Dixon's. Chuck is officially the most prolific comic book writer of all time.
He's also
the most for Cinescope. He's great. I mean, he's everywhere.
I got to get Chuck on the show sometime because he does a lot, and I'm buying his stuff, but I'm not talking to him. So we got to rectify that. Chuck, if you're listening, hit me up. Our DMs are open. I always like seeing that you have a retailer pack.
I do too. And you know what? I didn't add that retailer pack till this morning. I bet Jeff's looking at that going, retailer pack, what the F? And Mike too. We had one for Florida Man. We sold several of them. We've sold one of these already today. It's a nice discount for retailers that want to stock it. But you may not be a retailer. You may be like, man, I'm going to buy one and sell the others or something. I don't know, for whatever reason. So
buy one and put the others on eBay.
Yeah, there you go. Slap them on eBay. That's fine.
I know that some people run that, and then they have a verification thing where they say, we're going to make sure that you're a retailer. So,
screw it. We're just trying to put numbers on the board and get books in people's hands. I don't care how they get there. If you need to cram it up your backside and take it into jail with you so others can read it and enjoy it, get it, take it. We'll ship to the prison yard if we need to.
Well, you guys are getting media attention. I know we're technically media, but at the same
You
time
are.
we're YouTube, you live stream. But you're ending up on places like Red Voice Media here has just put up the article about Thin Blue Line, the graphic novel. So
We're also on law
starting right off with
enforcement
two-time Eisner
today.
winner.
Yeah, now that is a law enforcement website. We're also on Law Enforcement Today this morning. Hey, we're also on Bounding into Comics and Bleeding Fool. I mean, we're everywhere. We just need to get Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, and I think we're set.
Yeah, good
You're
luck.
like Chicken Man. Yeah, am I the only one who remembers Chicken Man from the radio? He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
I remember.
I thought he sold
Okay.
used
I'm old.
cars. Come on down. I got it. I don't guess you guys are from around here. As a matter of fact, I got that Punisher comic. That's actually the recolored cover to the black and white essential version. But that Punisher #1, I had a guy from Psychology Today. He's a doctor who writes for them, and he backed us at the featured tier, the assist package. He has that issue #1 Punisher framed in his office. He was
Very cool.
a very big geek about it. Big fan of Mike Barron.
I know that Mike's written a ton of different books. You could have picked anything and said he's the writer for this. You picked Punisher, and I find that interesting because we just went through this hullabaloo about a year ago where everyone was mad because police officers were wearing the Punisher logo T-shirts, and I was like, and they're like, Marvel should do something about this. I'm like, what are they going to do? Put out a EULA with every T-shirt they sell says you may not wear this shirt if you are going to do this or that or you have this job.
I know how they could have fixed it right away. If they had done to the Punisher what they just did to the son of Kal-El, I bet there'd be a lot of police officers scratching that Punisher sticker off their car.
We just need Punisher and Jigsaw to admit that they
That's
have
it.
in their heart for each other. I wish I could quit you. And
No, I'm kidding. That was by design, obviously, that we're kind of pushing the Punisher, but not so much because the cops have an affiliation for the character and the skull and the logo. The military does also, right? It's basically an enforcer that's not afraid to met out justice. Imagine being the type of a person where your job is you have the authority to kill somebody. If you get in a situation, you have a license to kill that person and put that person down. That's a whole nother world that I can't even conceive of being in, much less the kind of world where, hey, you pull somebody over, next thing you know, they jump out, they shoot you, they try to choke you, and then they spin off and run over you. And then a few days later, you got to go back to work. Imagine the mental trauma of knowing another human being did everything they could to kill you and snuff you out and they didn't know you. So this is they are a whole different creature, police officers are, and that's why they deserve our respect. And if they want to like the Punisher, I don't care if they like the Punisher or if they like Bizarro. Let them like whatever they like, and let's quit making a big deal about it. But knowing that police like the Punisher, it was just an obvious, an easy dovetail to the fact that Mike has written gritty street crime comics before. This is not some brand new rodeo for him. He's just on the police side of the fence. There may be a Punisher out there in the midst of this riot. Who knows? But it's perfect because this is sort of where Mike really made a name for himself outside of the science fiction of Nexus, and I think it's perfect. And Mike got his start. He intentionally, Mike, don't let me speak out of turn, but he intentionally, when he started his run on the Punisher, no superheroes, no robots, none of that crazy stuff. It was just grit, grim, grease, asphalt, bullets, blood, sweat. It's the kind of stuff that's this comic book is all about. It's really kind of Mike going back to his roots at Marvel with his own story.
I approach Punisher as a straight crime comic.
Well, that's the best way to do it. I mean, the Punisher was Marvel's Mac Bolan the Executioner.
Yes,
Don Templeton.
No question about it.
But with Thin Blue Line here, we've talked about the whole setting, and it's very reflective of what we've seen happening. We haven't really talked about the story? What's the driving storyline here? I mean, is it there's more to it when you write something than just there's a riot, survive to the end, and let's fight all the way to the last page. You have a specific bad guy, you have a specific good guy, and you have a specific problem that needs to be solved in the setting that you've given it. Can you talk about that without spoiling?
Well, I can. It's a little more complicated than that because we have different groups that are competing with each other. And if you watch the news, if you've seen the riots on television, you know that there have been at least two distinctive groups there. You have Antifa and you have Black Lives Matter. Now, I don't mention any of those groups in the story, but those are just two of the competing groups. And there's a third group there, the looters, people who have no political affiliation whatsoever, but see an opportunity to enrich themselves because law and order is completely broken down. So those are three big groups that are involved in the riots. Then you have a fourth group, which are the police. And we've seen in Portland in the last couple of years that these looters and rioters go right up to police stations. They barricade the cops inside and try to set fire to the stations. In fact, they did burn down a police precinct in Minneapolis. And
took over a federal building in Portland.
That's right. That's anarchy.
Yeah.
And they get a green light to do that because the government of those cities says, oh, yeah, social justice, we're with you. We're not going to arrest anyone. And they don't. They're not prosecuting any of these people. It's shocking. And police officers are leaving in droves. They don't even bother to respond to most calls these days. Seattle is down to a skeleton crew of police because in addition to everything else, they've come down with the vaccine mandate. If you don't get vaxxed, you're going to be fired. Now, there are a lot of good reasons not to be vaxxed, and I'll name just one of them. If you've had the COVID and recovered, you have very strong antibodies and are probably better protected than if you had the vaccine. And a number of police have recovered from COVID, so there's no reason for them to get the vaccine. And of course, we know the vaccine technically isn't a vaccine at all. It's something that alters your DNA. It was rushed into production faster than any vaccine in history. And people are right to be a little leery of that. And they're right to resist anybody who wants to tell them what they have to do with their own bodies. My body, my choice.
My day job, they have not mandated a vaccine, but they have put out a poll that says, how would you feel if we did?
Yeah.
And, our director, said, hey, here, the poll's coming out, don't be afraid to answer yes or no. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And my question to her, I was like, it's a Zoom meeting because everything's still Zoom meetings. I said, if, the company mandates the vaccine, do they also take on the liability if something bad happens to you from it? And she just laughed. Of course not. What
are you, nuts?
Yeah.
It doesn't get into the vaccine, but it does sort of get into what Mike's talking about with these different factions. And there's kind of like three primary villains. There's a couple of people that are just clownish, but aren't necessarily villainous. And then there's the heroes themselves who there's kind of two or three different avatars in that mix too. And it all just kind of weaves together. And you see an arc of Valeria kind of growing up, at the end of all that goes on in this story. It's impactful, but it's hard to really kind of distill it down to something simpler or any simpler than just the elevator pitch itself, because it is a complex story. And that's sort of what Mike does. It's even like Florida Man was sort of this Rube Goldberg machine where like all this different stuff's going on. And then there's this payoff crescendo near the end that you're like, okay, all right, I got it. And you might even flip back a page or two because of what's happened rather than it just being, surface level. Cops are great or cops suck.
You get that with a story, Chris, because like they say, Mike, truth is stranger than fiction because fiction has to make sense. A movie and a story, they have to have this ending, this solid ending. What we've had happen in real life with these riots is like, we had a kickoff, we have this fireball, and then it's not like it ever really ends. It just kind of like fades and people quit talking about it. And it's like, hey, who went to jail? What
Yeah.
was the resolution? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? there was no riot. What do you?
Yeah.
That was just,
It was a mostly peaceful protest, and no one was.
Oh, geez, don't even start.
Let's move on. Well, I've worked at 3 news affiliates, one for ABC, CBS, and Fox. And if it bleeds, it leads is true. And whatever is the most salacious, the most tragic, thanks, George, the most, despairing, the thing that's going to make you scared or fearful, that's what they push to the front. Doesn't matter what the values of that station manager is. They know what leads. And you get the same thing, too, even with Critical Blast, right? Whenever we've got some sort of outrage clickbait or some kind of salacious story, that's the one that gets the views because people it's the Jerry Springer world and we're all living in it.
And I try not to do that unless it like really piques my interest. And you're right. That's when I'll see a lot of traffic. And I keep thinking I should do more and more of that. But
it's tempting.
It takes so much out of me to do one.
Yeah, it's tempting. But, you got to, in the midst of being outraged about certain things, you also need to praise certain things, right? And instead of this book being one of these things that sits and deconstructs the police officer, the American police officer, as Image Comics or Humanoids or so many others, I don't mean to drop names here, are wanting to do. We're willing to say, hey, they're not perfect, but it's great that we have them, and let me show you why. And that's how this comes off. So we gotta celebrate things too. We can be outraged about certain things, but we can't sit and feast on that, or we just get more and more cynical and bitter. And turn out like me or Mike or somebody.
Speaking of dropping names, we haven't dropped this name yet. You have this alternate cover here. The main cover from
Butch Geist. Oh, that's fire!
Look at that thing. Yeah, literally fire.
Yeah. That turned out great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Butch, he just knows how to make a dynamic image, and that's Valeria there on the cover. She's animated a little bit in the video.
Chris, Mike, Jeff.
Yes.
When you package these things together, you have to seal the Gemini mailer in police tape.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's a great idea, man. Man, RJ, you're just cranking them out here tonight.
That's a great idea. Let's see if we can get some. We'll ask Joe.
Yeah, I'm making a note right now.
Not a source.
Sheet. Yep.
This is the variant cover from
Sergio Cariello.
Sergio Cariello, yes.
And we've got to get 25,000 to unlock that, and a little ways to go yet. We're at
10% there. We're 10% there.
Did we add 23,000 while we were sitting here not refreshing? We were at 2614 there. We're at 2670. So
love it. Listen, man, we're already at past 10% of the way to getting Sergio. The Sergio cover is, to me, it's beautiful. I'm a big, you got some people that prefer the Geist cover. You got other people that prefer the Sergio cover. You got some people that like the cover that Jeff did. Jeff and Joe did the original 2-officer pose right there. So I
like that. I like the signs.
Yes,
they just got it on all the fronts.
Yeah.
Well, it's a painting, and it has a painterly quality that the other two don't.
Yes.
Now, is this going to be a cover of some kind, or a print, or?
It's going to be something, that's for sure. It's not going to get shit canned. It's too beautiful. It's part of it. It's the story. So if nothing else, maybe that will be our autograph cards that we use. It's definitely going to be part of it. And all of these will be included as a pinup in any book you buy. So if you get a variant cover, you're still going to get the other cover as a pinup in that book. So you're not going to miss out on any artwork, no matter how you back it.
Well, guys, I know that you are going back to back to back to back to back with podcasts all day today. You got one coming up here in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be in 5 minutes where people can jump over and get more information than I pumped you for?
Crypto Comics. Let me give you the link that he sent me is
don't send us a StreamYard link.
just look up Crypto Comics on YouTube.
Head over to Crypto Comics after this, folks.
TO,
And
You can
then
always
after
go.
that,
Yeah, you can always find us on Facebook at Florida. Listen to me, Thin Blue Line Comic on Facebook. The Twitter is Thin Blue Line Comics CMX. But we've got our socials out there. Just type in Thin Blue Line. Our socials are at the bottom of the Indiegogo page. And we're going to be posting these video links for others later to come along if they want to sit and watch hour and a half long rambles from us.
there you go. Well, folks, head on over to Crypto Comics after this, and then after that, head on over to Michael Bancroft and watch Mike get the Bancroft bump all the way up to funded.
That'll be in 2 hours. Okay, guys, I'm gonna bug out so I can
See
take
you,
a
Mike.
break here. I'll see you guys later. Jeff, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
RJ, where are you going next?
Believe it or not,
Mike
I have a one-on. Well, not yet.
Ah.
I have a one-on-one at 8:00 with a potential client. We just got their books in. Angels Awakening. I've got. Seriously, my room is turning into a modern-day live-action retelling of the Cask of Amontillado. I have a very hard time getting to the door to get out because cases of books are starting to pile up now. They're all coming in. Rabbi Zv's book is coming in. David Feed's book is coming in. It's almost like suddenly this thing is turning into work.
Suddenly it's a business. Yes, it's a job.
It's amazing.
That's great.
Then at 10:00 Eastern, I will be over on the mic stand, joining Mike Walters, where we're going to be literally reading out loud and commenting on Golden Age stuff. I don't know what month he's gotten up to yet, but Mike basically, people ask you, said, I want to read comics. Where should I start? Mike started at the beginning with Famous Bunnies, and he's just been moving forward every week.
He skipped the Yellow Kid stuff then, I guess.
He did, yes. He just got up like a month and a half ago to Action Comics #1, 1938. So it was a big night. We're going to see where we're at tonight. Join us there. If you're not watching the Bancroft Bump, watch the mic stand. Click back and forth between them. You know what? Open 2 windows and just change your audio back and forth.
Or just wait and watch it later. That's the beauty of this stuff, isn't it?
Just subscribe to both. Subscribe to Bancroft and subscribe to Mike Walters and
Critical Blast.
And I never asked you.
Up in your ante on those openings too, man. Your openings are getting just so cool. You've really raised the bar.
I just pay people to do stuff.
Yeah, well, they've raised the bar for you. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, here's money, make me look good.
It's like our voiceover guy. He had to be paid, right? But I love his
Exactly.
voice. That's sometimes you got to pay for quality.
I guess I gotta go. So I'll see you guys later. RJ, thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Wish I had more inking questions to ask, but
JeffSlemons.com.
I'm just the guy that covers the pencil lines. That's all it is.
It's more than that. And I've talked with others.
All right, Chris. I'll see you later.
We'll see you.
Bye.
All right, guys.
RJ, thank you for your time, buddy. Have fun tonight, and I can't wait to talk to you soon off the record.
Same here. We'll get off as many records as we can. Folks in the chat, hit the link below the video or up at the top of the chat here. Get out there and back Thin Blue Line day 1. Make this thing happen so that the rest of the month is just a coast.
Oh man, thanks everybody who's been backing it. And anytime you want to get some more outrage clickbait, head over to bleedingfool.com. We talk about indie comics all the time. And if you are an indie creator and we've never featured your crowdfund, after you get RJ to signal boost you, come send an email to contact@bleedingfool.com and just share us the link and tell us you'd love to be featured. We'll get you in there.
Sounds great. All right, everybody in the chat, thank you for showing up. We don't have a show without you. And as always, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.